Hello and welcome to the webinar, Green Cleaning, a 3-Step Plan to Better Health. My name's Mike Booth. I'm the Senior Global Marketing Manager for the air treatment category at AeraMax Professional, and I'll be talking you through this topic of green cleaning as we look to understand how can we implement this in order to provide a better, healthier environment for the occupants of our facilities. So we have 4 key learning objectives as part of delivering this webinar content to you today. First of all, it's all around the health of the occupant and really understanding how can green cleaning practices help improve occupant health. Second on the list, we all understand that as part of taking care of our facilities and cleaning our facilities, efficiency and effectiveness is important. So we'll take a look at how green cleaning can be part of a holistic approach to indoor space cleaning and how can we truly save time and save money along the way. The third point and the third objective is a walkthrough of a step-by-step approach as to how you can start implementing a green cleaning program. And then finally, how can we learn on some successes that have taken place in other people's facilities and use these to learn and to help implement it within our own facilities. So they're the 4 learning objectives that we want to achieve as part of the webinar today. So what we need to do first So what is green cleaning? There are really 2 key elements that are going to help us understand what green cleaning is all about. First of all, this headline definition, it's all about cleaning for health without harming the environment. So the 2 key elements of this are ultimately health and the environment. It's not just about the environment. This is really about having a positive impact on the health of the occupants within your facility. So looking at this in a little bit more detail, as we've already mentioned, it's about the use of environmentally friendly products and processes in order to help maintain the health of these occupants. So it's not just about the product itself, the whole process of how it gets there, how it's utilized, and the positive impact it has on the people using it and the people using that facility. And then secondly, it's all about having a positive impact on the environment. So not just avoiding a negative impact, but how can we have a positive impact on the environment through the use of the products that we select to use within our facility. So why should we be thinking about implementing green cleaning initiatives? Well, first of all, this is our planet and it's our responsibility of the owners of this place to take care of it and to make sure that it's going to be well looked after and well prepared for future generations to come. Secondly, it's really important that we think about the way that we take care of our facilities, because as human beings nowadays in the Western world, we're typically spending 90% of our time indoors, whether that's at home, in the car, in the workplace, at school, wherever it may be. If you think about it, you truly spend a huge amount of your time indoors under a roof. So the quality of the environment that we create for ourselves in these places is critically important for the quality of our health. And then finally, we all breathe. So this is not something that you can escape from. For sure, everyone who's using your facility today will be breathing. So taking that thought about air and the fact that we all breathe, truly how important is air when it comes to green cleaning initiatives? Well, if we think about the things that we consume on a daily basis, there are three main elements that we need in order to survive as a human race. First of all, water. Typically, we should be drinking around about 2.5 cups of water every single day. As far as food is concerned, it's about 4.5 pounds of food that we're going to be consuming on a daily basis. Now, you can last a day, maybe a day or two without these two elements if needs must. But what you can't survive without is air. And we're breathing around about 3,000 gallons of air every single day. And guess what? The air that we're breathing inside our facilities is often much more polluted and contaminated than the air that we're breathing outside of our facilities. Typically 2 to 5 times more polluted indoors than it is outdoors. And this is data that's backed up from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And then thinking about that percentage again, we're spending 90% of our time indoors, but also we're typically spending, especially as adults, 9 hours every single day in shared spaces. So think about your workplace, your education facility, a healthcare environment. You're not only breathing in a huge volume of air and spending a lot of time in these environments, but you're doing so in other people's company, which also has an impact on the quality of the environment that you're spending your time in. So what is in the air that we breathe today? We're not going to be able to capture everything in this, but some of the key elements that are worth drawing your attention to. First of all, bacteria and viruses, and especially when we think about shared air, this is certainly something that human activity and human impact will influence as far as indoor air quality. Secondly, allergens, and if you are someone who suffers from allergies, especially indoor allergies, this is something that you will relate to, and you feel the pain of this on a daily basis, especially at certain times of year. And the drivers to this can be things like pollen, ragweed, mold, pet dander, dust mites. A huge percentage of asthma sufferers are affected by dust mites and dust mite feces, something that doesn't just happen in the spring. This is something that can impact people all year round and truly impacts their ability to be productive within a work environment or an education environment, for example. The third thing on the list is VOCs, volatile organic compounds. There's a huge spectrum of what VOCs can be, but some examples here: cigarette smoke, the contents of outdoor pollution coming in, and then the final thing on the list here that you'll notice is cleaning supplies. So quite often the products that we're using to take care of our homes and our commercial facilities are actually having a negative impact in terms of introducing volatile organic compounds into the air. And then the final one that we're often most made aware of, because we all have the right piece of equipment on our own bodies to be able to detect this, is odours. And this is quite often the most common workplace complaint when it comes to indoor air quality. It's the easiest way for someone to identify that there's an issue in the air. But certainly looking at the slide here, it's not the only thing that can be a driver of poor indoor air quality. And thinking further about why we should be considering green cleaning initiatives, well, we all have a shared responsibility here. And this comes back to the point around this is our planet, and this is something that it's our duty to take care of as we look towards the future generations. And in the US today, we're typically using around about £6 billion of chemicals to clean our commercial buildings. And this is being done by 3.5 million cleaning employees around the US. So there's a huge amount of people who are using a absolutely huge amount of material in order to take care of our facilities. So if we can change the way that we do this, we can truly have a massive impact on the quality of that environment and the impact that it has on the planet that we all live on today. So one thing we need to consider when we think about VOCs, volatile organic compounds, is how can they actually affect the people that are using our facilities right now? Well, there are some day-to-day impacts, and then also some more extreme or fatal impacts that have been recorded when it comes to VOCs within So let's take an example from the education environment in order to understand the positive impact that green cleaning can have on a facility. Education environments are typically measured and incentivized on two main factors. First of all, their ability to keep people in school, and then their ability to get people out of school with good grades and a good follow-on in terms of their career or their education. Now, there's a link between these two things. People being present in school with high attendance rates, high test scores, and good graduation rates. And there are two example schools here that both implemented a green cleaning program and both saw very impressive results. First of all, on the left, example A, these measures are all around these attendance, absenteeism and graduation rates. So this school saw 24% reduction in illnesses, 34% reduction in doctor visits by children from the school, and nearly 50% decrease in student absenteeism. Now, all of those factors, when thinking about that correlation between being present and being highly performing, that's going to help improve people's grades, or so you'd expect. On the right-hand side, example B, another school implementing a green cleaning program. Here's some measures that they've taken by actually taking a look at the quality of their air. So over a 50% decrease in airborne dust, nearly a 50% decrease in levels of volatile organic compounds, 40% decrease in bacteria levels, and over 60% decrease in fungi colony forming units. So in terms of the health and the hygiene and the quality of that air, it's been much more improved because of that green cleaning program that they've implemented. So moving on to the next stage of today's presentation, the second objective was to be able to walk through a 3-step program as to how you can start thinking about implementing a green cleaning program within your business and your organization today. So first of all, you've really got to take a look at the workforce who are implementing and executing your cleaning activities today. And this needs to run across all levels of that workforce for it to be effective. Secondly, you need to take a look at the products that you're using. And as I've already mentioned a few times, this isn't just about the product itself, but the wider holistic supply chain process of how that product comes to you and the impact that that product has on the environment as part of its overall lifetime. So this is really about assessing the products that you're using today alongside the people that are doing the cleaning. And then finally, what methodologies are you using as part of combining these people and these products together? So it's really about auditing the way that your facility requires taking care of and the way that you're approaching it today. And if you do these 3 things in this order, you're really able to take a reading of how you're doing things today and how you can change things for the better when considering a green cleaning program for the future. So what we're going to do now is walk through each of these 3 areas in a little bit more detail to understand the role that they play as part of implementing a green cleaning program. So number 1 is aligning the workforce. Now what this isn't about is it's not about just telling people how this is going to be done. This is about getting people on board, enabling people to be part of this, and enabling them to be stewards and ambassadors of how this is going to be approached. Now, for this to be successful, you need to really think about those 3 elements that we looked at right at the start of the presentation today: people, planet, and profit. And if people are bought into those 3 elements and the goals and the aims of what's going to be achieved as part of doing this, they're much more likely to get on board and to help execute this. And this isn't just about the direct people who are going to be working with the products and managing these processes, but also other stakeholders within the business or within the organization. They have a role to play as part of this as well. Now, promoting stewardship can be a challenge for people managing a facility, but it is something that will make this green cleaning program more successful. This is about getting the wider community, the wider organization on board, and ultimately get people bought into, in general, stronger green practices. So that's not only about the cleaning, but it can be about things like recycling, paper usage, plastic usage, conserving water, using less energy. All these things have a role to play as part of a business being greener. And if you can achieve those things whilst also using more environmentally friendly products, more environmentally friendly processes of using those products, all of this is going to help get people on board and ultimately deliver the promise of a benefit for people, planet, and profit. So what are some ideas as to how you can actually do this? Well, first of all, you have to train people. You have to get them on board with the goal, but also hold their hand and give them some guidance on how we're going to do this. And simple things like, what is the impact of doing this? So by using less of this product, you're going to be able to achieve this goal. You're playing a role in helping make this successful by doing X or by doing Y. And also really make this a Scrum style project as well. Get people to engage together as a team, as a workforce that are working together to achieve this, to check in on how things are being achieved and how people are finding things, so that they're really encouraged to provide feedback as part of implementing this green cleaning initiative. The whole point of this is really identifying the fact that everyone has a role to play in making this successful. Everyone has a voice as part of making green cleaning programs successful within. So step 2 as part of the plan is assessing the products that you're using. So to do this, there are a few things that you can consider. Really evaluate the products that you've already got today, the products that you're already sourcing. Lean on your suppliers. They're going to be able to inform you and help you make some responsible decisions when looking at the 5 key elements on the screen right now, and also take a look at the manufacturers themselves, because the brands who have a story to tell in a positive way in any of these elements, they should be doing that on their own website, in their own marketing content. So you should be able to find out about these key elements. Obviously, the questions that you can ask yourself on this slide, this information will be made available to you after today's presentation, but I'm going to just talk through some of the elements as we go through here. So as far as raw materials, some things to consider here. Is there anything within the raw materials used that's going to enable the product to be recyclable later on in its process? And are things being done in a sustainable and responsible way, or is this something that is not going to be around forever and therefore is not the best solution in terms of the raw materials that are being used? Then the product itself, is it going to help improve concern areas within the impact it's having? So does it use no VOCs or low-level VOCs? Is it actually going to help reduce some of the other issues that maybe you're facing within your facility today? Third step, manufacturing. Is it being manufactured in a responsible way? Are they reducing energy usage? Are they reducing water usage? Do they have their own recycling practices? Are they using smart methods of manufacturing? And again, the brands that are doing this in a positive way will certainly be talking about this. Packaging and distribution go hand in hand. So are they using recyclable packaging? Are they enabling you to use the product in a more efficient way by the way that they package it and also manufacture it? So typically sometimes you'll find more concentrated cleaning solutions, for example, and that really enables less distribution to be required, less volume of products being moved around, but also reduced amounts of packaging being used as well. So these are some elements to really think about as part of your sourcing process and the selections you're making in terms of your products today. And then not only do we have to think about the products themselves, but also how do we interact with those products as part of using them within our facility. So is there a greater lifespan that we're going to get out of them? Is there elements that can be reused, for example, whether that's in packaging or dispensing or just the way that they're used as part of the cleaning practices in the facility? Operation, if you're using electrical items, are they energy efficient, for example? Something to consider. Ongoing maintenance requirements, service requirements, all this obviously has an impact on the sustainability of the product that you're using. And then at the end of the life cycle, how can you dispose of them in a responsible way that's having a minimum amount of impact on the planet as part of those 3 Ps that we looked at the start of today's presentation. And then the third step is, how do we combine this information that we've gathered around products and procedures in order to understand our overall cleaning practices that we're using today. So the actual equipment itself, the usability, the appropriateness of the selections that we're making, and then also the way that we're using these within our facility. Are they reducing the health impact on the people within the facility, and how are you reducing the environmental impact? So thinking back to the definition of what green cleaning actually is, it was a combination of having reduced environmental impact or even a positive environmental impact as part of your cleaning practices, but then also having a positive impact on the health of the occupant. So the way that you clean for health means addressing some of the other issues that can take place within your facility. So one thing we're going to look at here as part of going beyond just cleaning practices is airborne contamination. Bacteria and viruses, allergens, volatile organic compounds, odors, just to give some example of what can actually be in the air within your facility. When it comes to addressing the issue of indoor air quality, the EPA recommends three main strategies. Now, the first one is simple: remove. If you've got specific issues such as radon or asbestos, what you need to do here is identify where those are and get them out of the facility as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they're going to have a negative impact on people's health using your facility. Secondly, we have vent, and this is about using your existing HVAC system, your heating, ventilation and air conditioning system in order to drive an air change between indoor air and outdoor air. And this is going to help with to a certain level with airborne contamination. It's going to specifically help with levels of carbon dioxide, but it's not going to go the whole way to ensure that you've got the best possible levels of indoor air quality. So the third strategy recommended by the EPA is purify. And this is about identifying specific airborne concerns that you have and removing them within the environment where they're taking place. So that can be germs, allergens, odors, VOCs like we've spoken about already. And this is a great way to go the whole way of improving indoor air quality within your environment. So when it comes to cleaning for health, one obvious thing to think about is viruses. And often when people are sick and they sneeze or they cough, people assume that if they're sat close by, then they're at risk of catching something from that person. Well, obviously that's true, but what we shouldn't underestimate is that if we're far away from that person, then we're safe. That's not true. Typically, the larger particles, the things that we're going to see with our own eyes, they're going to drop to the floor within up to 3 feet radius of the person. Slightly smaller particles, still probably visible to the human eye if we look closely, they're going to drop around about 3 to 5 feet away from the person, and they're going to drop down pretty quickly as well, down to floor level. Now, the infectious droplets, what we would refer to as nuclei, the super small particles that are not visible to the human eye, they're going to travel a much greater distance, up to 160 feet plus, and they're going to remain airborne for a huge amount of time. One piece of research that we found suggested that a 0.3 micron particle can remain airborne for up to 41 hours. And the moment someone walks past that particle, it can easily become resuspended, which then makes that time frame even longer. And one really interesting statistic from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, a US-based organization, is that air is more likely to transmit the flu virus, the influenza, H1N1, than surfaces. So one thing I mentioned earlier was green cleaning doesn't stop at surface hygiene. Let's go one step. So thinking back to those three main indoor air quality strategies coming from the EPA, remove, vent and purify, the method that we're going to talk about now is purify. And by using purification, what you're actually able to do within your facility is remove rather than redistribute airborne pollutants. And what's great news is that this type of system has been proven to catch over 99.9% of airborne influenza viruses, which is great news when it comes to trying to prevent the spread of these infections within your facility. Cleaning for health doesn't just stop at influenza. This isn't just about preventing people from catching the flu at peak times of year. This is about enabling the workforce, enabling your student group, enabling your patients to be happy, healthy and productive within your facility. And a great example of this is allergies and asthma, things that are impacting people on a daily basis and really affecting their quality of life. The rates of asthma and allergy in the US are really scary. So for allergies, 1 in 5 people, 20% of people in the US today are suffering from some form of an allergy. And the growing concerns of asthma rates in children are scary as well. 160% increase in asthma rates in children over the last 14 years. And this is only going to grow and grow and grow as these people enter the workplace later on in life. But people who suffer from allergies and asthma aren't just affected by dust and pollen and ragweed. There are more than 11,000 volatile organic compounds identified in everyday products right now that are affecting people with allergies and asthma, and also affecting people's ability to perform who don't suffer from these issues as well. Now, some examples of what type of products you're going to find these substances in can be seen on screen here, but this isn't really limited to the 6 items that we've got right now. But paints, printers, furniture, so the material that we use to make our furniture, carpets, other flooring materials, insulation, all of these things contain VOCs, and that's before we've even thought about the cleaning products that we're potentially using right now. So here's one way that we can truly show the impact that a purification system can have on improving indoor air quality and relate this back to trying to clean for health. The scenario that we've got here is some computational fluid dynamics work for a female washroom with 6 cubicles, all with toilets flushing at the exact same rate. Now, the example on the left-hand side here has got the standard airflow system running, the ventilation system running at extraction levels that you'd expect to find within a public or shared space washroom in a facility in the United States of America right now. On the right-hand side, we've got the exact same scenario running, but with an AeraMax Professional purification system running within the facility at the same time. Now, visually, the main difference that you can see is on the left-hand side, a big cloud of red, and on the right-hand side, a much more controlled, smaller, low-level cloud of red next to the actual toilet basins themselves. Now, the red represents high concentration levels within airborne contamination. So on the left-hand side, the red, which is 2.5 parts per million levels of concentration, is much more spread and is finding its way up to head height and a breathing level. On the right hand side, that intense red of parts per million, 2.5, is right down at the level of the toilet. So we can't say that we can completely get rid of airborne contamination and odor, but by keeping it down at that level, you're taking it out of people's breathing zone and reducing the chances of people breathing in that high level of airborne contamination. We can look at the quality of the air is to actually measure substances contained within it. So the example that we've got on screen right now is using a laser particle counter. This is a highly expensive piece of equipment that uses high quality lasers in order to measure and monitor levels of airborne contamination within an environment. So in this example, what we're actually looking for is 0.3 micron particle counts within an indoor air environment. The way this machine would work is it would take a frequent reading that you can adjust and then continuously monitor those levels of 0.3 micron particles. Now, in the graph that we've got up until the midpoint, there's no system or solution being introduced into this environment. And what we can see is levels between 25 and 35,000 particles at the level of 0.3 microns. Now, 0.3 microns, what does that actually mean? A typical human hair is going to be between 70 to 100 microns in size. So 0.3 microns is super small in comparison and is completely invisible to the human eye without the aid of magnification. So after the introduction of a air purification system, what we see is a dramatic drop-off of particle count levels, and actually more than a 70% reduction in these airborne particles. So again, the claim isn't that we can just take everything out of the air instantly, but by reducing particle levels by over 70%, you're reducing people's exposure to potential issues within your environment right now. So as well as having great data points such as the computational fluid dynamics and the particle count data from real-world situations that we've just looked at, we can also hear from people who are using this type of system in their facility already. And one great example of this is Kimberly Thomas. Kimberly is the Executive Director for Plant Services and Custodial Operations, as well as being a member of the Green Clean Schools Leadership Council. And Kimberly is very happy to put her stamp of approval on this solution as part of enhancing an overall sustainability program. And why is it that Kimberly was so satisfied? We were able to demonstrate to Kimberly and her team a significant decrease in airborne pollutants and also a marked improvement in indoor air quality through some of the measures that we've already looked at on some of the earlier slides. So what does this solution actually look like? What we're looking at here is the AeraMax Professional Commercial Air Purifier, and we have a range of these, all with the same promise from an end user performance perspective. First of all, we're using a True HEPA filter in order to achieve 99.9% of particle reduction. So things like allergens, viruses, dust, bacteria, all captured from the air thanks to the use of a high quality commercial grade True HEPA filter. Secondly, through the use of an activated carbon filter, we're able to significantly reduce levels of odors and VOCs, chemical based issues or biological based issues within an indoor air environment as well. What's great about these units is that they're super smart. These systems do not need maintaining or managing on a daily or weekly basis. You set it and forget it. Thanks to a combination of a motion, sound and air quality sensor, the machine is constantly monitoring the environment in order to understand the level of occupancy and the quality of the air at any given moment. So it really works hard when it's needed and saves energy and saves filter life when it can. And the capability of the room size that these machines are able to deal with range from 300 square feet all the way up to 1400 square feet. And of course, in bigger spaces, multiple machines can be used in order to cater for those environments. And in all these areas, what we're aiming for is up to 5 air changes per hour. And this is critically important in order to achieve high levels of air quality within an indoor environment. If you set a machine to run at 1 air change per hour, you're really not going to do much more than what the standard ventilation or extraction system can achieve. But by using a minimum of 3 and up to 5 air changes per hour, you're really going to control and maintain a high level of air quality for your facility and for your occupants. Before we close, I'd like to take the opportunity to just talk about the range that we have today of AeraMax Professional Air Purifiers. Now, all the machines come with the same promise of performance, of filtration, of smart sensor technology. The real difference is the size of the space that they're going to be dealing with and therefore the type of environment that you're most likely to install them within. So first of all, the AeraMax Professional 2. This is our smallest and slimmest machine. It's won numerous design awards because of its slim, sleek profile, and this machine is really designed for spaces up to 300 square feet in size. The middle machine in the range is the AeraMax Professional 3. This is for spaces up to 700 square feet, and then finally for those 1400 square feet spaces, the AeraMax Professional 4 is the larger machine in the range today. Now, all three machines come as a wall-mounted option, so this is truly integrated as part of your facility. We also have stand versions available if a more portable solution is something that you're looking for, or if you're limited in the space where you could install it on the wall. Our recommendation is wall installation is going to deliver the best possible performance and ensure that this is running in the right way and in a constant way within your facilities for maximum impact on occupant health. So the promise that these machines come with, this is not about using chemicals. We've seen the filters, carbon filtration to get rid of odors and VOCs, HEPA filtration to take out those physical particles. This is not about introducing more chemicals into your indoor air environment. These machines are extremely energy efficient, and our estimate is to run these 24/7 for a full year, it's going to cost somewhere between $15 to $20 in energy usage per year, which is extremely affordable when it comes to comparing this to other types of machinery you're going to be using within your facility today. And the smart technology means that these are just set and forget, no ongoing maintenance other than a filter change every 1 to 2 years, and the machine will tell you when this needs to happen. So ultimately, this is about going beyond surface cleaning that we've thought about on today's presentation and going one step beyond that and thinking about the quality of the air that we breathe. So all that's left for me to say really is thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us for the webinar. I really hope the content has been useful. We've talked a little bit about what green cleaning is all about. We've also looked at that 3-step program for how you can start to review your products, your processes, your people in order to implement a green cleaning program. And it's really all about those 3 Ps that we talked about right at the start: the people, the planet, and the profit that you can achieve by implementing these green cleaning programs. So good luck for the future with your green cleaning initiatives. There's some great content that you can find from AeraMax Professional associated to this topic and also other topics when thinking about indoor air quality. That includes a fantastic ebook which condenses all the information that you've heard today into an 8 to 10 page document, which is great for sharing with colleagues and peers in your industry. So please do explore the website if you're already there, or do visit our website, which is aeramaxpro.com, and get in touch with us if there's any information that we can provide about the topic of green cleaning or indoor air quality. So thanks again for joining, and we hope to hear from you again in the future.